Hey guys, it's Jamie here, and over the next few videos we're going to be making a flip album from one piece of black 12 by 12 cardstock. And the way we're dividing it up is so that it will be just a little bit bigger than your average postcard size. To get the 6 pieces out of this cardstock, I will look at the inches as well. I'm just used to using centimetres. On a centimetre level, we're going across the top, we're going to divide it in thirds. So it's 10 centimetres, which is 4 inches, then 8, then 12. We are going to be cutting it. I just like to do this as my cut guideline. Then turn it, and we're going halfway. And that is going to make your 6 pieces. The next thing to do is to cut 12 pieces of craft card so they will sit inside of your black card. I've cut mine so they're a centimetre narrower and a centimetre shorter, which would make it in inches about 3.5 inches by 5.5 inches. 12 pieces because you're going to put it front and back. Once all these pieces are cut up, I'm going to round the corners because it's a look I prefer. You do not have to do this. I'm going to take them so there's just a little piece off each corner. Let's have a look at that. Yeah, that's quite subtle. I will be doing that on all of these. Now I've done that, all I'm going to do is stick one of those on the front and another one on the back. I've just got a kids sewing machine, just a little thing. I'm going to see if this will actually run through the sewing machine or whether it's going to be too thick. Obviously I need to glue it, let that glue dry, and then sew it. These are now all sewn together using my kids sewing machine that I picked up for I think £20, about 27 US dollars from Amazon. Doesn't do zigzag, it only does a straightforward stitch, but it's ample for junk journaling as far as I'm concerned. I've done nice wiggly lines. That actually was deliberate, in case you're wondering, although I am no sewer, so it helps to be deliberate. Next thing to do is to take one of these and measure up to punch holes. The halfway point, doing it in centimetres, is 10 centimetres, so it's 5 across to be halfway, and then I want to go either side, so I will probably go 12 and 18, so that's 2 centimetres in, which is roughly an inch in either side. And I'm going to mark where I want to punch. I'll go with the bigger one because if I decide to use grommets, then they will also fit that hole size. We simply punch a hole. They're not going to fray if you don't want to use grommets. I'm going to take the next one, clip it together, and use that as the template for where I'm hole punching for the next one. Continue to do that for all of your boards. Next stage is this one is going to be the front of our flip album. So we'll be working on page 2, and you must remember page 2, these will be at the bottom because when it flips up you want it facing you. What I've done in prep is cut some papers that are coordinating so that we will be putting the papers on here. It doesn't matter what they cover up, even if they cover up the holes, we'll be re-punching the holes. This just saves us having to go through too many layers each time we punch. As you can see, I've left a very small gap from the size that we measured for the craft card and the paper, so you're starting to get a layered effect. I haven't glued all my craft on completely straight. These will not go on completely straight. It's a junk journal. To me, it doesn't matter. Before we put this down, we will work on each page. That means we're going to decide if it's going to have a pocket on it, a flip on it, Everything's going to be put together before this goes down on here so we can hide any hinging that we might be using. I have a box of bits and I also have some scrap. It doesn't matter, by the way, if we add things and they're bigger than the base card. The idea is we end up with a chunky little flip album type thing. You can do this as a junk journal, a scrapbook, a photo album, a smash book, which is somewhere that you would store tickets and receipts and photos and notes and anything that you want to. So it's entirely up to you how you use this. But this could go on here as a flip, and if we glue it in situ you won't see that hinge. Now, to make the hinge, all I did when I went to cut this out was leave a small border and then angle it so that when we attach it to the paper, a bit like an envelope, it will fold over nicely. Possibly stain the back a little just to give it a bit of aging. I'm going to try antique linen because I want to keep this light. Okay, I think that frames it nicely. When you open it, you'd have a writing space, and you could use this as a writing space. You could have something else on here, like a little pocket. That's quite plain, so we could add a little piece of extra ephemera or something onto that. I have this tiny ticket. I could cut that along that border, put that across there, maybe add mushroom sticker. See, this is all making it just a little bit more interesting. For my taste, that background is quite plain, and I am debating whether to add an extra detail. Another thing I might like to add might be a flower, but obviously I don't need all of that. To create balance, I quite like the idea of doing the diagonal. Let's start to stick a few things down because I think that is going to help with placing it. This has now been stuck down to this piece of paper and re-inked where the new stickers covered the ink. This needs to go down as well. The only thing I want to add to this is this flip. I want to wait for this to dry a little, and then, because I'm enjoying myself with my new children's sewing machine, I'm going to sew around some edges. Now I've sewn that together, I'm going to place this over here and glue it down, and probably just sew along the top. I may sew all the way around again, it depends how thick this is now getting. While that dries, I want to clip it all together, particularly on corners. I decided not to try and sew through this because it is incredibly thick. That'll be our front cover. When you flip it up, this is what you're going to see. I needed something for the front pocket that fits the Victorian type theme. I found this. I've edged it in frayed burlap for a different look again, and that is going to go in there. And that is our page 2 designed. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you are on YouTube, don't forget to do all the YouTubey things, like, subscribe, comment, share, so that you can come back and see the next few pages being designed. Bye.